That's right.
Okay, there we are. Hi, everybody. And I love your sunshine, Amanda. That's what I need to
That's
channel right
We
now.
all need that.
I've had the background, the sunset for a while. I'm like, no, I need, you know how I like to mix up my Zoom backgrounds. I gotta keep it. And I was like, I just typed in summer Zoom background. This was like number 2. And I was like, I love it because it is hot.
Lucky that all of you weren't just in the green room, so you would know if you were, though, that's what I need to be versus what I was just in the green room. And if my cousin's watching me, I'm going to screw with she watches me and she gets mad at me. She goes, Jules, you keep screwing around with your bags. I go, I know, it's like, I can't stop looking at them. They're bad. So
Julie is on fire today.
It's a Monday that I need to probably, when I'm done with this, just get up and just walk away until tomorrow. Because I probably shouldn't email anybody after this.
No, wait till tomorrow.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. All right. Good book recommendations, I'm assuming. Tomorrow's another good release date. So I think it's going to go Gabe, Amanda, Tom. So Gabe. Oh, wait, I didn't share screen. Hold on. See, I got so wound up with everything else. Okay, now you should be able to share your screen. So take it away.
I will be presenting Golden, The Power of Silence in a World of Noise.
Did you pick that just for me? Did you change it just right this minute?
You just changed
slides. Change it right this minute just for me?
I have some very deft PowerPoint skills, but no, I thought of this before, but I'm glad I made it my first book. It was going to be my second book, but I moved it to the first book because I felt that we might need this today.
Golden. It's golden.
So I don't know. I don't have Mike Nichols looking over my shoulder, but I have interesting books. 500 years ago, Pascal observed that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Since then, life has gotten louder. You got freeway noise, you got background noise, you got noise in your head all the time, you got work noise in your mind all the time. So what our authors, Justin Zorn and Lee Martz, are doing here, they're taking us from an Ivy League brain research laboratory to underground psychedelic circles, from the Olympic National Forest to a heavy metal festival to explore the meaning of silence and how to find it in any situation. So noise, my comment that I clipped up here, silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's our presence, etc. Is what this book is about. So it is sort of finding a way to work your way through the noise a little bit and get beyond the noise and calm your mind, flush things out, and become a little more mindful. So it's a book about mindfulness. It's a book about being in the moment. It's a book about, thinking clearly, and sort of that emotional, cerebral toxicity that exists, trying to push that out a little bit. It's an interesting story on this. It was a Harvard Business Review article that got a lot of attention. It was called "The Busier You Are, the more you need quiet time." And I think a lot of people, I know I sort of find myself hermiting away sometimes. I've always had the need to sort of get away from it all. So I think we all have sort of coping mechanisms. So this book sort of brings that issue to the forefront that we all don't even think. We go from picking up the kids to dropping out the kids to the daily stresses of life that seem to extend further into our days to where it's almost nonstop. So this is a way to sort of prioritize your life and calm the F down a little bit.
Okay, Gabe. I only live about 15 minutes from you. I'll be down there at about 5:15 to pick that up.
For the first session and how to embrace.
Calm the F down. No, it sounds really good. How is it written? Is it written in little snippet stories, or how is it?
Yeah, it's a good narrative, but they're not, it's not like long and dry.
Okay.
It's cool that it goes from high level brain field research to oh, let's microdose, to microdose or not microdose, those issues there. And,
Yeah.
And the mind altering things. And then
What's that? Well, I can never say the word what's the
ayahuasca or whatever.
Ayahuasca or whatever is that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta see it written.
Me too. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
It's when usually you read the word, you've seen the word and you can't pronounce it because you've seen it, you mispronounce it. But in this case, you mostly hear it. But yeah, everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing
this
it.
is a little more about meditating and go on your walk, work in the garden. You don't have to like necessarily sit and meditate on your chair for an hour. You can go in the garden, chill out.
Yeah, it's
push
true.
it away.
It's true.
Take a deep breath.
I will be at your house at 5:15.
We need not just Julie, but we all need more of that.
Well, and you would think that right now, though, that it's like with all this time that we've spent like in isolate, not doing stuff that we wouldn't. I think we need it more now than ever. Yeah. I mean, I just think because we just feel like, I don't know about you, but my head's just spinning with everything now.
We're just all inside our heads too much now. That's one of the issues, discussed here. We're so inside our heads. There's a lot of noise and there are a lot of stuff spinning around.
Right.
And sometimes books like this, for whatever reason, come along at just the right moment. And it sounds like
this is the one. Yeah. All right, Amanda, what do you got for us?
Okay.
Your golden sunshine. We're going to be on a golden theme tonight. Golden sunshine.
Oh, that's strong. Oh, wait, did I freeze?
Yep.
No.
Hold on.
I'm frozen. Can you hear me at least? Can you see
we can't see your PowerPoint.
Oh no. Okay. Let me try stop sharing.
It says you're sharing, but we can't see it.
We can see you and we can hear you.
I can only hear you guys are all frozen. I broke down.
Oh, we can hear
we
you.
We can hear you, so.
Well, okay. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, try one more time, and then if it doesn't share, then maybe just put it there. Now you're there.
Stardust thief.
Okay, that's my number 2 book. Oh, I don't know what happened there. All right, so we can all see my
With Prejudice.
You see my PowerPoint, good?
Yep.
Excellente. All right. Oh, technical difficulties. Come on, computer.
Still having them.
It's been 2 years. Well, we're over 2 years of this, right? All right. So here we go. My first book I have With Prejudice by Robin Peguro. And then, so this is a book that Joe Ide says one of the best legal thrillers I have ever read. So here we go. Earl Thomas is a straight-laced taxman with his fair share of police encounters, and he is the foreperson in a high-stakes trial in Miami. Laura Perez is a physician whose unassuming manner conceals a private pain. Joseph Cole is the founder of his local neighborhood watch, obsessed with the families around him. And along with 4 others, these jurors of varying ages and walks of life, whose paths will most likely have never crossed before besides this trial, all come together to make the most important decisions of their lives. So one night, Melina Mora, a free-spirited woman, was murdered. And the last person that she was seen with was a young man named Gabriel Soto, or someone that matches his description. 2 strands of her hair were found in his bedroom. And so Sandy, a young prosecutor whose political ambition depends on securing a conviction in this trial, finds herself pitted against Jordan Whipple, a public defender armed with freshly discovered and a very crucial piece of evidence on the eve of the trial. While Sandy Jordan and the judge what they all know, however, is that the criminal justice system is complicated and everyone has a story, especially the jury, and it's their experiences, biases, and belief that will ultimately shape the verdict. So here we go. This is obviously the author identifies as both Black and Hispanic and has worked as a homicide prosecutor in Miami. And so, obviously he comes with that firsthand experience in the courtroom. And so he has crafted this really wonderful thriller With Prejudice. So there you go.
Is it a debut?
That is a good question. Let me look for you very quickly. I believe it is a debut, yes.
Okay. Sounds really good. Sounds like we're looking at maybe another like Scott Turow kind of a young of color Scott Turow writing.
Love it. I know. Yes, no, it is. So it is a debut. Yeah. So, but I think that firsthand experience also gives you kind of a really unique perspective. And, obviously discussions of, fairness, racial biases is,
right.
We live and breathe it every day.
Yep.
And so I think being able to tackle that in this format is just really exciting.
Yeah.
But, we'll definitely keep you on the edge of your of your seat as you go through it. So yeah, there you go.
No, I want to look him up because I want to see other stuff about it. So yeah, very cool. Love that.
I like that updated courtroom jacket.
Yeah. It's really good. All right, Tom, what do you got?
Well, I have my favorite book of the spring for sure.
Oh.
Emma Straub's This Time Tomorrow. Julie and we've been talking about it for I think at least 6 months.
At least.
And I just fell in love with this book from beginning. I love Emma Straub anyway. She's of course she's the owner of Books Are Magic in Brooklyn. So which is only what, like 4 years old, 5?
Maybe 4. Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Anyway, the years roll on. But she's also, I've read all of her books, and I just love her books. I've read all of her novels, but this is absolutely my favorite one. Even though I'm not a time travel person. I mean, I have read time travel books, but it has to be just the right thing and not too much science-y stuff. So this is for me just the right amount of time travel. So it's the story of Alice, who is on the eve of her 40th birthday. She's not in a terrible spot in life. She's got a job, she's got a boyfriend, but her dad's in the hospital and very, very ill. So about to turn 40, she wakes up the next day and she's transported back to her 16th birthday. And so not only is she 16, but her dad is in his like mid 40s. So she gets to see again, but through new eyes, her father. And so then we start the time travel back and forth. And of course there's always, and she's very conscious of the history of time travel movies like Peggy Sue Got Married and 13 Going on 30. And so it's witty, fun, super smart, but affecting. I was in tears reading different parts of this book, and there's so many things to recommend it. One of them is father-daughter story, which I don't think there are enough of them, or very many or enough. And it's beautiful. And of course, Emma Straub is the daughter of Peter Straub, the famous mystery horror writer.
Right. Ghost Story was his big one, right?
Yeah,
Ghost
exactly.
Story.
He wrote books with Stephen King back in the day. And so it's like a love letter to her father, from a writer to another writer, from a daughter to a father. It's so sweet and entertaining and witty and wonderful. I just completely fell for and it's also a great New York book because he takes you back to the 90s in New York. So there's a lot of nostalgia that really just resonated. So that's the book itself. Then there's Emma, she's like a force of nature. She is going to be everywhere. She's on Fresh Air tomorrow. She's on the Today Show on Friday. And I believe she's at Warwick's next Tuesday.
She's on Monday at the store. I think Amanda put it in the thing. She's at Warwick's on Monday for a store event. And then if you'd like to do the lunch thing we're doing booked for lunch with her on Tuesday.
Oh, that's
so if you're in the area, we're doing a book for lunch with her too. So
she'll be nationally everywhere, but then also locally at Warwick's. And she's a delight. I mean, just in every way. And the book makes you think. These kind of books just make you think about what time of my life would I like to go back to? So anyway, there's a lot to discuss, but it's just a really one of the reviews from the New York Times for her last book was they called her literary sunshine. And that's it. She's literary sunshine.
That is the best description I think I've ever heard of her.
I know. So
that's exactly what she is. And the thing is she's literary, but it's not like over the top literary, you know what I mean? And it's just like, she's not trying to be, she's just being who she is. And that's what's so wonderful about her.
Right.
You know,
because she's a very good writer, but not showy.
Not showy at all. So Arlene's on here. She loves the premise of the book. Can't wait to start it tomorrow. Yes.
Excellent. Well, and
sorry about losing your dad. Yeah.
The other thing about the book is weirdly enough, even though it's time travel, it's got this fantasy element. It's absolutely her most autobiographical book.
Right. And the time travel thing, you're absolutely right about it. It's not, it's just not in your face, right? It's as believable as time travel can get.
Yeah, exactly. Or needs to be. It doesn't.
Or needs to be.
I don't need to know exactly how it works.
Yeah, I don't need to know about what the other dimension that we're going in. I don't need to know all of that. It's just like you wake up one day and it's 1990, or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's really good. It's Well, it's a quick read. It's got a lot of depth in it too. It really does. Yeah.
So it's perfect. It's going to be a great summer read throughout the entire summer.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. Gabe, take it away so I can mute myself.
Mute yourself, girl. I got you. So my next book is something new. It's the second book from Sari Walker, who has garnered really good reviews for her previous novel, Dietland. She's a lot of fun. And we, a book that we were going to publish in the, what month are we in? We're in May. So we were going to publish this in the winter, but we wanted to set it up with a better jacket, and it's a really good read. It's a sophomore book. We didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle. Sometimes author gets a lot of attention on the first book, and then the sophomore book sort of comes through and kind of, gets lost amongst bigger sellers, etc. So we wanted this book to get the proper attention. So we put a really fun jacket on it. It's not a time travel book, but it is told in two separate timelines. 2017, a reclusive Georgia O'Keeffe-like artist in New Mexico is outed as a relation to a notorious gun manufacturer and associated with some suspicious deaths, odd deaths 50 years earlier. And the second timeline takes place in the 1950s. And we find out that this woman who has been outed is in fact one of the 6 daughters of this gun manufacturer. And their family seems to be cursed. And the curse seems to be that when one of the daughters gets married, she's immediately going to die. So the first daughter, oldest daughter gets married. Next day, she winds up dead. After a couple of times, Iris, the second to the youngest daughter, tries to prevent things like stop the weddings and interfere. But ultimately, it seems like she's the only one that gets out. And the house is the characters, obviously, the father who's not really present, but the mother who's also a little bit crazy and feels the house that they live in is haunted by the ghosts of the people that their family's guns have killed. So it's a novel that talks about a lot of stuff, ultimately, in a kind of a heavy way. It's definitely a feminist tone. I think it's got a kind of a Bronte-ish feel to it. It's got kind of like, it's really textured and atmospheric. And it is all about family and marriage and women's rights and issues and guns. And so great narrative. Again, one of those great books that you can read at a lot of different levels. But read this book carefully and enjoy it. The writing's really good, and the story's really well told, and it's really quite imaginative. And I think it's effective. It's a really effective novel, discussing big issues while giving you a fun read.
Wait. Can we just talk about that cover?
Cool.
That cover was so great with the shotgun in it. I mean, it's like really good package.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. If you sort of see it quickly, you don't really catch all the elements, but when you look at it, that's the way the book is.
Yeah, it's a good one. Somebody's they're all talking about books that Kim recommended in the chat. So we need to get Kim back on here. So Kim, if you're watching right now, get on it, sister.
Come right now.
Come right now. Jump on in. Somebody's talking about Vladimir that she recommended. She recommended Lessons in Chemistry. So yeah, Kim, where are you?
Right, where's
all
Kim?
Your fans are watching.
And Lessons in Chemistry is blowing up, isn't it?
Yeah, they're already like short. I mean, they're fast tracking it for a movie, I think, or for one of those limited series, maybe. All right, Amanda, what you got?
Alrighty, so here we go. Low technical difficulties. I jinxed myself, but here we go. The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. So here we go. So this is from our Orbit line, which is all of our science fiction and fantasy books. And so aside from this gorgeous cover, so here we go. So Luli Nazari, she is the Midnight Merchant, a criminal with the help of her djinn bodyguard, hunts and steals illegal magic. So one day she saves the life of a cowardly prince And unfortunately, she has drawn the attention of his father, the Sultan. So the Sultan blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp that has power to revive the barren land, but it'll come at the cost of all of the jinn. So she's either got the choice to do this or she will be executed. So she heads off on an adventure with the Sultan's oldest son to go ahead and find that lamp. Then, of course, her bodyguard, who is a jinn, has a lot at stake here too. He's kind of got his own little secrets on this journey. So they head off on an adventure. And so it's just a rip-roaring fun adventure. This book has got a bunch of different elements pulling from it, from stories like Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, the 1001 Arabian Nights. So the author, Chelsea, was actually born in Kuwait. Born and raised there. So she is pulling from her culture all of these really wonderful stories to create this really fantastic debut fantasy novel. So there we go, the Stardust Thief.
Sounds really good, and I do like the cultural stuff that she's pulled that she's drawing from. That makes it really kind of fun too.
You know what? I'm a huge fan of retellings, and I know they're super popular right now, but I've always been a huge fan of retellings of stories, and especially with different cultures. I think it's always fascinating to read those. So
yeah,
I'm always down for those.
Yeah, and every once in a while I love a good just like fantasy, take me away. I wanted just a different, because we read so many just straight narratives or whatever that sometimes I just like to be taken away. Sounds good. All right, Tom, what do you got next?
This is one of those moments where it's kind of hard to transition, but that's what happens.
That's what's fun about tea time.
Out tomorrow. His name is George Floyd. So it's two Washington Post reporters. So the Washington Post did maybe the best of all of the, better than even the New York Times coverage of the George Floyd tragedy. They did a 6-part series that these two reporters were part of, won awards for their reporting on the event itself. Now in the new book, they've taken that research and then they're digging even deeper into so it's really like taking, this George Floyd, the symbol, George Floyd, the representative and the caricature, to find out who the real person was. So it's part biography. So they're taking you back to his entire life. So you really get a sense of the man, which we just never got. We weren't able to get. But then they take it back even further to his whole family and how his family ended up where they ended up. So you're getting, it's a little bit of like Isabel Wilkerson's The Warmth of Other Suns, because you're getting the history of this family, this particular family, but you're learning about, the roots in the tobacco fields of North Carolina, living in housing projects, the criminal justice system throughout the entire generational, systemic racism, basically. And it's recounted through his family story. And then so that's the first part of the book. And then it takes you, really up to the minute, through the trial in a way that you couldn't have got from daily reporting, really putting the trial in perspective. And then the 2 years since. So it's almost the 2-year anniversary, about 10 days. The country looks and feels a lot different than it did that summer of 2020. So they dig deep into what's happened since, for better and for worse. So it's a really thorough, important, beautifully written, deeply researched piece of nonfiction that I think is going to get a ton of attention. So his name is George Floyd, on sale tomorrow.
Remind me again, who are the two? There were two of the reporters?
Yeah, two Washington Post reporters. So they've gotten, the Washington Post is all in on this book. They're going to help get the word out.
Right.
And I expect they'll be on places like Fresh Air, serious places, especially as we get in the next 10 days. I think it's 10 days from now is the anniversary.
And is that book out tomorrow?
It's out tomorrow.
Yeah.
That sounds brilliant.
I mean, it's just kind of amazing where we are now versus where we might have thought we'd be after the death of George Floyd.
I'm thinking not much farther.
No, I mean, I think, at least I thought we were going to make a lot of progress.
Maybe even worse.
Yeah, man. Now we got
Right.
people fighting our attempts to
Um,
keep Russia disinformation out of our country. People are
Right.
calling that.
Well, it's
bad
they
thing.
quote and maybe Al Sharpton said this in public, but basically Al Sharpton then said, maybe to these reporters or to the family, he basically said, I've seen this before. You know, you think everything's gonna change. Nothing's very little. Maybe we're making a little bit of progress, but don't think that.
And it's going to be like this. This is just going to
Exactly.
be,
There's
you
gonna
know,
be another
this
pendulum.
sweeping, the sweeping
Yeah.
change, which is really disheartening.
Sobering, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very disheartening. No way to transition in or out of that book, I'm afraid,
I
Tom.
know, I'm sorry.
So no, it's
the world of
don't be
publishing.
sorry. I'm so glad you highlighted it. No, I'm so glad you highlighted it. But Gabe,
Yeah, take it away.
lightning round.
I'm gonna go in a completely different direction because
That's
no, you know what? That book is a somber it is a somber book, I think, but the premise is absolutely brilliant. It's one of those books that's a
Yeah.
chronicling of the situation and why things are the way they are. And it's not because a culture is lazy. It's not because a culture has every advantage like you do. I think the chronicling of the family is just genius, bringing up how you.
That's right.
It sort of makes the situation undeniable if the proper
Yeah,
people
that's
will read it.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah, exactly.
And I think a lot of people, not a lot of, I don't pick up any of these things. Most of these things are, there's the 2 points, the headlines they get on the news, and then I don't need to read the book. But this book is a book actually that you need to, I think it's a book you need to have.
Yeah.
I hope the right people pick it up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, but
That's what I mean.
regardless, I think it's a book I would like to have in my library. And I think it's the kind of book a lot of people want to have in their libraries.
Yeah.
And I am going to lightning round you guys with a thriller, Linwood Barkley, who came over from, I think, Random House. And he's never really blown up. And I don't know why, because his book Elevator Pitch was so good. That was the first book we did with him. And I really had never had heard of him. And he had a few books out already, but I really loved Elevator Pitch. And every book has been really solid since. And this one is a kind of a really cool basic premise that we've seen before. We have our protagonist we pick up our protagonist many years down the road, and like 6 years down the road of this huge event in his life where his wife has disappeared. He was on a fishing trip, and somehow his wife at the time, Bree, vanished. So he was nowhere near the area. But of course, it's always the husband, it's always the spouse. So he was under a lot of scrutiny. So he that's sort of burnt out. They could find nothing against him. He's 6 years down the road. He's got a new partner, and they have, in fact, he's moved to a new place. They've just, in fact, torn down the previous home. And he's really glad for that, because it's it's just any kind of landmark to what he had to go through, losing his wife and then with the accusations. So he's moving on with his life when suddenly a woman appears, screaming, "What happened to my house? What happened to my house?" And she looks a lot like his wife, his ex-wife, or his apparently disappeared wife, Bree. And then she takes off, and then the book just, that's when the book kicks in. So he's got to figure out what's going on, because is he losing his mind? Is that really Bree? Who set him up? What's going on? So Linwood Barkley does a great job writing a suspense novel. And I think this book is one of those easy book to get into if you like that kind of adrenaline fueled, what if kind of a book.
I love it. I mean, I love it. I mean, not that I love, but it's just like, I just don't know why some of these guys they're so good, and it's like, why don't they blow up? Why, because they're like solid, they're so solid, and it's just like, well, if everybody had the magic bullet, we'd all know.
Yeah,
that,
yes. But yeah, it's funny because I've read a lot of really good books, and not all of them.
Yeah,
because it's a good book doesn't mean you're gonna get a career out of it.
I know, but yeah, I think he was on Steve's side of the house, I think, before.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
so
he was
definitely
Canuck.
somebody who I think people recognize editorially.
Yeah.
He's recognized as a real
Right, I
talent.
know the name. And is he Canadian? Is he Canadian or no?
I'm not sure. I think he might be actually, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right.
No, sounds good. All right, Amanda, lightning round.
Okay, so this is one I actually do have in person as well. Woo. All right, so I got Once Upon a K-Prom by Kat Cho. And if anybody knows me, I am a huge fan of K-pop books. So anytime I see one, I read them, and I love them, and they're so great. So this one I really love, because what I thought was different about this one is that your K-pop star and our girl main character, they actually had a friendship before he became, super famous. So they were young kids, and so Elena and Robbie were like best friends when they were kids growing up. And then at about 10 years old, Robbie's family packed up and moved to Korea. And then they just lost touch. They never spoke again until the day that Robbie shows up on her doorstep with a camera crew and asks her to prom. And she's like, and then slams the door on his face. Because who does he think he is, coming back after all of these years with not a peep, and then all of a sudden the ambushes her and asks her to prom? Yes, they did make a pact that they were going to go to prom together, but still, she's been gone for this whole time. And so it's just a really wonderful story. Young adults, definitely, and so you're 12 plus. And it's just cute. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. And this was actually one of the first books that I read when I started Hachette. I just started in September. And this was literally, aside from this one book that I was assigned to read, this was the next book that I picked out of all of the other books to read. And I was just super excited to read it. And now it's here, finally, like 6-7 months after I read it. It's finally here to present to you guys today. So out tomorrow.
I love it. And the K-pop thing is like it's so exploding. I mean, it's crazy. I have a friend who does some of our interviews, and she's my age, maybe a little bit younger, goes to all the K-pop concerts. It cracks me up.
That's
I'm just like,
nothing of the music. Like, I know nothing of K-pop music at all. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. But anytime there's a book,
yeah,
I will read it. There's another one that was it XOXO?
yeah,
that was
something like
first.
that. Yeah.
Yep. Loved it. I mean, I just read them because they're fun. And I just love them.
But that's why she loves the music and everything about it, because it's just like, I guess it's just this totally uplifting, just like fun. And so I was like, oh, who knew? Who knew? Okay, so Gabe, back to your book. Amanda's in the background going, the one, Take Your Breath Away, your book by the Barclay's book. So she says, between the book title and the excitement for Top Gun sequel, she's going to have the Berlin song stuck in her head. So that's what like Beth in here does too. So it's like everybody's got singing Top Gun Berlin.
That's right. The new Top Gun's coming out.
Finally.
Good way to think. Good, remember the title of the book.
Yeah.
Just say it. Okay, Tom, take us home.
Okay. So, like time travel, I don't need a lot of time travel books. I also don't need a lot of philosophy books, but when they're just the right philosophy book, I'm all in. So this new book from Penguin Press is called Nasty, Brutish, and Short: Adventures in Philosophy with Kids. So on the cover there, you've got the two sons of the philosopher, who's the author, saying, "Is this title about us?" I think so. So it's Scott Hershowitz. He is a professor of law and philosophy at the University of Michigan. He is a serious thinker, philosopher. I think he's done probably books. This is his first book for the general reader, but he's done lots of serious, academic work. But he's now the father of two boys. They're, I think, now 12 and 8. And he realized that children are natural philosophers. We as adults lose that curiosity. We lose that thing that kids just naturally have. So it's a serious book. It makes you feel smarter about philosophy, even as it's hilarious, because there's great stories about his kids, the questions they're asking. So because they're naturally asking questions about morality, rights, identity, revenge, all these things that are philosophical concepts that philosophers have been studying for millennia. But he makes it so it's not dumbing it down. It's making it, more obvious, more plain to those of us who have lost that. So it's serious. I love this book. great fun. It's witty. It's smart. It's so cool. So Penguin Press. It reminds me in a way of I talked about Shape a while back, which was by a mathematician about geometry, but how geometry plays a role in our lives. So math books, when they're well done, philosophy books, when they're well done, there's a real place for them in the world. And this is great. So the quote he has that I love towards the end is, "Kids are alive to the strangeness and wonder that lies just below the surface of our lives that we are not alive to." So he's really making it plain, but you'll learn a lot of philosophy if you look at this. Kind of like, in a way, like I Love the Good Place, which was a comedy by Mike Schur, but it was steeped in philosophical concepts. But it went down so easily because Ted Danson is the star, and it's hilarious. Right. But same thing here. This goes down really easy, but it makes you feel so much smarter after reading it. So Nasty, Brutish, and Short from Scott Hershovitz.
But it's true about little kids. And I never watched the Good Place. I watched a few of them, but then I heard you had to watch like the whole thing, and then the end was like just a thing of brilliance.
It was.
But yeah, I need to go back and do it. So Beth, is it the next Calvin and Hobbes?
It does have the look of how Calvin and Hobbes, doesn't it?
She said she's on it. It really does. But it's true though, the little kids, I mean, when you're a parent of a little kid, you're so wrapped up in like everything, you're just trying to like get through a day that you don't really like. A lot of times you don't like stop and listen.
But that's why it takes a philosopher who's trained in philosophy to hear it. Yeah. Even in the moment, he's hearing echoes of his own, thoughts about philosophy, about, what philosophers have always been talking about. It's so cool.
We just need to follow around all the little kids.
Yes.
Just like screw.
I think we do, actually.
Screw the rest of them.
Things would be a lot better, I believe.
It's like just do a kid philosophy. Kim saying that the Mike Schur book, How to Be Good, was great too. I don't know if that's any.
Yeah. I think that's a really good book because he's the creator of Good Place, and this is a good companion to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Lots of good books again this week. Don't forget Emma Straub's coming to Warwick if you're in San Diego. So sign up for that. We got some great virtual stuff happening too. Does Amanda want to say something, or are you just popping in?
Keep going with the events. That I wanted to dive bomb in with a book real quick.
Dive bomb in, because I'm not going to share my screen because there's some older stuff, and we got to pop Emma up. And I think when we got Jack Carr's coming, Adrian McKinty's coming. Okay, talk about a great. Okay, The Chain was amazing.
The new one, The Island. I almost presented that today. I went back and forth. I did not present it today, but yes.
Is it coming out tomorrow?
It is tomorrow. It got pushed back.
Okay.
So it was supposed to come out, I think, a week or two ago.
So he's going to be at the store on Thursday. The Island was, oh my God, he's just such a great, The Chain. If you haven't read The Chain, you got to read The Chain and then read The Island. I mean, you don't have to read them in order, because they have nothing to do with each other. But he's just he just takes these premises and it's just like so good. He's so good. Okay, Amanda, pop in with what do you want to talk about? What you talking about?
Really quick regarding Nasty, Brutish, and Short. Just a short story. My 6-year-old niece, she just turned 6, and the other day, my cousin mentioned to her that their cat had gone to heaven, and my niece kind of absorbed that. And then 10 minutes later, she comes and sits next to me and says, "What happens when we go to heaven?" And I was like, "Whoa, help somebody!"
Right.
I'm not equipped for.
I am not equipped to answer that question.
Yeah, to be like the guy back there. Oh, Scott, come over here. Can you handle this?
Yeah. That's why I'm not a parent.
I am not equipped. Oh, and I would blow them off. I mean, because you get caught off guard all the time by those kind of questions, and it's just like, I don't know, go eat a snack.
But I was to be like, why? But why? I was very, very, very wanting to always know the
Chapter 12 is God.
There you go.
So he goes there.
I love it.
I told her basically if she ends up going to church, they'll tell you stuff about it, but you have to decide for yourself what you
That's
think.
good.
Really quick, tomorrow it's Razzmatazz from Christopher Moore. So if you were a fan of his last book, Noir, this is a follow-up to that, and we have autographed copies at Warwick.
Oh,
Oh,
As
fantastic.
always, great fun. If you want something
he's
that'll make you
hilarious.
laugh.
I
Yeah,
almost mentioned that one too. That was one of those. I have a lot of books this week. I
Yeah,
have to make some tough choices.
there's a I'm overwhelmed with the number of books that are coming out and that are they're so good, and I just feel like we can't highlight. That's why I love that we do this, because it gives us a chance to highlight a number of them, because it's just our lists go on and on.
And we're always making these choices where we have to leave something out because it's only 3. But
Yeah, but it's just there's so much. My to read list. August. There's all kinds of stuff coming out in August. I am
Yeah.
being hammered for August dates for I've got so much to read between now and June 8th for Indie Next. I can't
Oh,
even
yeah.
tell you. I can't even
Deborah
tell you.
cleaned up her stack in front of her desk. That was like 2 big piles, and so it's okay. That already came out. I read that. I said the thing in okay, so cleaned it out. She had a little stack, and that was 8-9 days ago. And 4 days ago, I walk in and I'm like, how did that become 3 stacks?
No,
In like
and
a week.
it's probably all stuff for August, because that's what's happening to me right now. I've got
There's
and
a big gap.
I'm kind of glad that some of the editors and some of the people that want the Indie Next things, they're reminding us earlier now, which is good, because I would sometimes get the reminder 3 days before,
Yeah.
and it's like, I ain't reading their book in 3 days.
There's no
You need to
way.
remind me 4 weeks ago and get it on the stack. So anyways, that's yes, Beth, August used to be a month that publishing took a break.
Yes.
And it really was a month, but that has all changed post-COVID. There isn't a break month anymore from what I can see.
No.
We got solid books coming all the way out, even in December.
Right,
First week
right.
of December.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I saw
got
that
a few solid books coming out.
I saw that in the grids. There's a
Mhm.
lot of December releases coming from everybody. So I don't think there's a break anymore. But that's okay.
Which is great.
Which is great. Lots of good
More
books.
Yeah.
More books to read, more stuff more anxiety to have, because I'm not reading enough books. Where's that golden book? Abe, driving down your house. 15 minutes, baby.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
be there.
calm the F down.
I'll be rage driving to your house.
Idiot.
Oh, my kid. Okay, we got to get off.
Let's
I am
get off.
so that yeller in the car. I'm yelling at people all the time in the car.
You're such a lovely person.
when I'm on. All right. Okay, everybody. See you all next week.
Bye.
Hop in on
Bye,
some
everybody.
virtual events if you can. And there you go. All right. Bye, everybody. Stop that. And